All right, everybody. We are now in the episode Rat Problems. Just to clarify for everybody, dice rolls go in the Deadly Dice channel.
All right.
Yep.
And let's start off with a group introduction. We'll start from top to bottom and void of voices.
Yo, okay. I'm Toby. I play Zero.
Next person should be Lily.
Play Marimo, and I'm nervous.
Oh, wow, you're coming in really crackly.
Yeah.
Shit. We could maybe switch to my headphones. Hang on.
Yeah, that might work. That's what I'm using. Yeah.
I don't know if you attach them or not. They do, it looks like, but I don't know what.
Yes, your mic is being very unusual because it's somehow both being really bad while at the same time also being really good. Because I can hear myself echoing through it.
That's what it was.
Ah. All right. Can you try your introduction again?
I think she's still putting on the headset.
My mistake.
Hi, my name is Lily, and I play Marimo.
Oh, that's significantly better.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. So we've got Marimo. Now, Queenie's next.
Hello, I am Queenie. I am playing Cordelia Carib.
All right, and you all know me. I'm Rosie, and I'm the DM, and I often play as my own character as a helper to the party since we're all level 1 and have no idea what we're doing. So let's get started. All right, we are still in as Cordelia and Zero have had yet to move on to the next town from the previous session. You have all stopped into the tavern at some point to look for more work, as either you've needed more money or you've been looking for a group to travel safely with. During one of your excursions, you stumbled across a kind of help wanted ad pinned up in the tavern, basically saying that a grandmother, granddaughter, and a friend of theirs were helping move to a new location, and they were getting ready to move on to the next town. However, the route that they had picked was apparently a bit difficult, so they had requested that some people come and help them make the journey safely. So, you have gone. Oh, Lily's gone. Where'd you go?
Oh, we lost Lily.
No, Lily's dead.
She was just here. Oh.
She keeled over when none of us were paying attention. Oh, wait, there's a new message. Aww.
Stage fright.
Stage fright. It's cool, it's cool.
Next time.
Alright, so I guess we are gonna just have, we're just gonna do this with Zero and Cordelia.
Yeah. So we're in the tavern right now, right?
Actually, I was just getting to where you were.
Oh.
You had found the hiring in the tavern, but the actual location said was at the edge of town and one of the lesser used roads to travel from one place to another. You and Cordelia, since I'm assuming the two of you are traveling together, have
Probably.
have made your way, and you see a large horse cart that is, oddly enough, hitched to a cow. And on it are a young woman, a rather small young man, and a rather elderly woman. All of them appear to be Frank and Ollie Toons. However, who all have a much more human appearance than most that you meet. You also see a familiar tall green and white Toon who's helping secure things onto the cart. The old woman is the first to notice you, and she does not look. She seems rather grumpy, but you can't tell if that's how she's feeling or if that is just her face. She nudges the young lady and points over, and it's the young lady who turns, her expression brightening as she jogs over. Oh, good, good. You're the others who applied. Oh, thank goodness. We were starting to worry that we wouldn't get to leave yet.
Yeah. Sorry for being a bit late. We kind of slept in.
Oh, that's fine. It's fine. We were actually hoping to leave the other day, except, well, we were supposed to leave a lot sooner, except then all that stuff with the bandits was going on, so we had to stay behind a bit longer. I'm Clover, and she pats her chest, and she's wearing a knitted poncho and has strawberry blonde hair, and she's dressed rather nicely. And she waves over to the others and says, "Over there is my grandma, Grandma Rose." No, wait, what was the name I hear? Grandma Thistle. And that is my friend Phil White. We're traveling after we used to live on a cow farm, and there was an accident, and now we can't live there anymore. So we're moving.
Cordelia is kind of vibrating, trying very hard not to like run over and just hug Rhodey, but she's trying to be professional.
Oh, what did she say Rhodey's name was?
Oh, she hadn't introduced Rhodey. She was introducing her family first.
Oh, because you pointed out. Wait, so the cow was the third name?
There were 3 people in addition to Rhodey there. The girl is one of the 3. And
yeah,
Clover, her grandma Thistle, and her friend whose name I didn't catch.
Her friend's name is I have this written down. Phil White. And
Phil White. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Phil White being Rhodey.
Oh, he is not Rhodey. She continues to say, "Well, I pointed out Grandma, and I'm just realizing I did not describe them properly. Grandma Thistle is dressed in a black dress with a white apron and some simple black slip-ons on loafers, along with wearing a bandana tied over her head to hold back her hair, presumably, which is also tied back in a bun underneath it. Phil White is dressed surprisingly like a wizard and has a book under his arm and is mostly checking the stuff already on the cart to make sure that nothing will come loose while they're driving. He's also wearing glasses and is actually very dark. That is the politest thing I can think of, just because it's only just now dawning on me that I didn't actually think too far on his appearance other than he was dressed kind of like a wizard.
Zero looks over towards Rhodey, waving slightly.
Rhodey notices you from where he's securing the cow, making sure that the harness that the cow is wearing is attached properly. And he smiles slightly and waves, but he doesn't approach.
Upon seeing Zero wave, Cordelia also waves like really excitedly and starts pointing like, "Hi, it's me." But she doesn't say anything. She's just waving and pointing at herself like.
Clover notices this little interaction, and her face brightens up even more as she says, "Oh, do you folks know each other? Yeah, Rhodey's was that's Rhodey Elder. He's one of the folks who also agreed to come and help. He's actually headed for the next town himself, and when I talked to him at the tavern the other day and found out we were both heading in the same direction, or at least that was the direction he picked, he said that, well, he's gonna come along."
Thing.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I think your
Queenie?
mic, Queen, darling, I think your mic decided to be screwy just now. What was that?
Oh, sorry. Cordelia says, like, yeah, we worked together on another thing.
We did the Zero looks over at oh, the names are completely sliding from my head.
Clover.
What was their name? Clover. Zero looked over at Clover, smiling slightly. Rhodey and I and Cordelia, we helped with the bandit issue.
And upon hearing that, her face lights up more and says, I thought I'd seen your face before. No, it was just running my brain a blank. Well, that should cover everything. Oh, she snaps her fingers. I should mention one thing. The road we're taking is, well, the reason it's not used very much because it's actually kind of overgrown and such, because not a lot of it's kind of a longer route from one place to another, and the town that they go to, they don't do much trade back and forth, so the road's kind of overgrown in some spots, which is why we needed the help. I mean, it's supposed to be mostly okay, but there's a lot more wildlife in that area, so we wanted to be, well, Phil especially insisted on it, saying that it would better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, that is a good idea. It's best to have well, when you're moving, it's definitely best to have some guards posted around the carriages.
She nods along and says, "I guess usually when Grandma and I don't move much, but usually when we are traveling around, Grandma can just handle just about anything all by herself. But yeah." And with that, she leads you over to the cart. It's just a single cart, and a lot of stuff is boxed up, but there's actually not a terrible lot of stuff. There's enough to say that you probably have at least one house's worth of stuff, but a majority of it is just little things you would pack together. For instance, there's no furniture. But all the other essentials are there, like food, stuff for clothing, and etc.
Is there any is there any other animal except for the cow?
Nope, just the cow.
Huh.
Phil finally takes notice of you and says, "Oh, hi, good, we have more people. Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, we've got just about everything here, Clover. So, everything seems to be hitched up all right. Grandma Thistle said that she's gonna get ready to head off soon. And he's fidgeting with his cups, and he says, yeah, how good are you guys at walking on periods? I guess I'd rather check to know who should start off riding the cart."
Zero, Zero tilted his head. I'm pretty good at walking long distances. Me and my family used to travel from town to town all the time.
Cordelia has a constitution of 12, so I think she's just kind of like, yeah, I can do that.
So she'll probably walk for a bit, or she might decide to ride for a bit.
True. With either.
And Phil nods, but says, "Oh, okay." And he straightens up and says, "Okay, I'll And before he can finish, Grandma finally walks over and says, "All right." And she gives you a squinty look and says, "All right. So, we seem to have gotten everybody. We seem to have everything packed up. Let's move." And with that, she just immediately climbs into the cart and grabs hold of the reins, and starts going.
Zero jumped slightly, surprised of how quickly she decided to move and started to just walk alongside the cart.
Yes, you notice up ahead, Rhodey, who had still been by the cow, but had been more listening than actually fussing with anything, startles slightly himself before picking up into a light trot. And Rose, who had climbed onto the cart at that time, seemed to flinch slightly, then lowering her voice says, "Sorry about Grandma. She actually wanted to leave a couple days ago, and she's been getting really antsy about getting on the move."
Fine. Zero quickly stated back, slightly shrugging.
Cordelia's like fallen into step behind or near Zero, and it's just also nodding like, okay, it can be really frustrating when you want to go somewhere, but there are like delays and stuff.
Clover nods, and Phil says, and you hear Phil mutter rather a little bit agitatedly, "I still think, well, just because that you want to get going doesn't mean you shouldn't be any less worried about if it's dangerous or not."
Why do you think it's so dangerous?
And he looks at you, and he looks kind of baffled, like, Didn't you hear? Two of those bandits were dead, and no one knows who or what killed them. Why wouldn't you be worried? What if there's someone out there who's just a nut job?" And he looks rather frantic at this thought.
Oh crap, do I have to roll anything to say, like, to hide his surprise?
I'm going to say, let me check. Let's say we'll go with, why don't you roll either performance or deception?
I'll roll
both of which are
performance.
charisma.
I'll roll performance.
I will also roll a performance. 16!
8! Great!
Okay. Cordelia, you've managed to mostly come to terms with what's happened and the fact that you don't have any plans of revealing this to anyone what had happened. So, you plan to just not say anything. Zero, you stumble a bit while you're walking. You had not expected that, and you hadn't quite realized that your actions had this much of a reach. You hadn't realized that this was now a thing people were worrying about. And now I'm gonna roll this.
Gwen was saying you and her were trying to figure out what this was.
Okay, that was the roll I just did was basically
Not exactly. It's the
Phil's perception, but I'm going to throw you a boon and hope that, and have him roll disadvantage, which means I'm just going to roll a second time for him. He does not actually have a character sheet, despite being a character, because I couldn't figure out how to do non-player characters in here.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Okay, so 17. So he sees that you stumble a bit, but he misinterprets it. He thinks that the reason you stumbled and the reason that you both seem uncomfortable is that he thinks that you're also kind of anxious about whoever or whatever is out there.
I'm gonna Zero tries to cover up his stumble, looking up at what's his name again? I'm sorry.
Phil.
Phil, looking up at Phil with offense on his face. You don't trust us to be able to keep you safe?
And he kind of freezes up and says, "No, that's not what I meant at all. That is not what I meant at all. I just meant that, well, this trip's gonna take a couple days, and if someone were to show up while we were sleeping, that would be problems. That would be problems."
Sure would.
If we take shifts, we'll be fine. All we have to do, take shifts, and even if they didn't, even if we didn't, we could easily take care of one person.
Finally, Clover leans over and says, "Don't take anything that Phil says wrong. He's just a bit of a worrywart. She smiles at her friend and says, he looks indignant for a moment, and she just smiles at him and says, "You are absolutely a worrywart. You can't deny it." And he just kind of huffs and sinks in his spot on the cart.
Cordelia is very pointedly just staring ahead, not saying anything, because she knows if she starts talking, she is going to say something.
Potentially incriminating?
Potentially incriminating, because she's mostly come to terms with the fact that they killed 2 people, but also she's not happy about it.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And you continue on, and just as mentioned, you reach the forest, and just as also mentioned, it is surprisingly dense. But whether through good fortune or good luck or something else entirely, much of the road where the cart is actually rather packed down, and nothing has particularly grown on top of it. It's just very dark due to the trees growing over it.
Is it dark enough that we would need torches, or is it just like
No.
a darker than normal forest?
Just a bit darker than normal forest. It's like, you can still see just fine. There's still plenty of dappled light on the ground. It's just, you aren't getting clear sunlight.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna pull out my crossbow and load it just in case.
Alright. Surprisingly enough, neither Clover nor Phil seem alarmed that you have decided to pull your crossbow out so soon. They just kind of look at you for a moment, but then just continue either being quiet or fussing with things. Phil, for example, has pulled out a book other than the one that he'd had earlier, and seems to have decided that he's going to stop talking and start reading. Clover, however, leans over and says, "I will mention one thing. It is going to be a bit of a journey. It's going to take a couple days at least, so it's all right if you don't really want to talk or anything. There's plenty of time." And with that, she just kind of sits down and just kind of lets herself relax a bit.
Zero just nodded and went back to scanning the forest around him.
Cordelia is torn between trying to talk to Clover and trying to keep her mouth shut so that she doesn't say stuff about the dead bandits. But curiosity does eventually win out, and she's just like, so, I don't know if this is like a rude thing to ask or not, but what happened to your farm?
And Clover looks over at you, and she kind of seems to waffle a little bit before saying, well, there was a fire. Apparently, one of us forgot to put the lantern out in the cow barn, and one of the cows knocked it over. Yeah, and the barn was connected to the house, so... And she just kind of lets the sentence hang.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm so sorry.
She smiles a bit and says, it's fine. Accidents happen. Luckily, all of us woke up before anything really bad could happen, and, well, now we're heading over to a friend at Grandma's, and we're gonna stay there for a bit until we can set up a new farm.
Zero's ears go back. Still, sorry for your loss.
Oh, we didn't... She smiles and laughs and says, oh, we didn't lose anything, really. We only had one cow. The other one we'd sold at the fair.
Oh, I was wondering, because, like, you said you had a cow farm, and this is one cow.
She nods and says, yeah, usually we have more, but we just sold some at the fair, right after the big cow race. Grandma won it. She looks rather proud of that.
Cow race?
Oh, yeah. A lot of folks bring along a cow, and they just kind of race them along a short track. Grandma beat the lot of them. And she's grinning at that. Grandma always wins every year, and so it was just kind of a tradition almost at this point. But we decided that we wanted to downsize a little bit. I think Grandma was actually thinking about moving sooner. I can't say for sure. I'm not her. But, well, we sold most of them till we had the one cow, packed up all our stuff. And, well, a good portion of stuff had been packed up. Grandma was talking about how moving things out in order to give the whole place a good cleaning. But, yeah, then the fire happened, and now we're moving.
Cordelia is kind of fascinated by the concept of cow races. Like, that's so cool. I didn't know you could race cows.
And I want both of you to roll insight.
Oh.
Science. She's too distracted by cow
20.
races.
Oh, zero. Zero gets the good one. Okay.
I got a nat 20.
Nat 20. Anyways, Zero, you notice that when Clover starts talking about the races and about the loss of the barn, Phil suddenly becomes rather tense. You don't know if he's tense just because he was nervous about something, or if he was uncomfortable, or he's just nervous because you intimidate him a bit. You can tell he's very nervous and he almost wants to say something, but doesn't want to actually say it. Or at the very least, you can tell there's something on his mind, despite how intently he's staring into his book.
Zero is definitely noting that.
You also notice that Clover, despite her casual attitude, is also kind of tense in the shoulders as she talks about what happened to the barn. She's being a lot more lackadaisical and calm about it, but you kind of get the feeling that it's not the whole story. She's telling all the major points, but not getting into the details.
Alright. Can I roll a perception to see how if Sai is actually, like reading the book, or is just like reading the same page over and over again?
I'm gonna say no. Phil is just kind of staring at the book. I'm also gonna say this isn't super important. This is just this is just a kind of flavor thing for the characters. It's not super
Yeah,
important
yeah,
right now.
I know, but if he can't focus on the book, that usually means that he can.
Well, you know what? Considering you got the nat 20, he's staring intently at the book, but you can also tell that he hasn't actually been turning pages. Or at least if he has been, he hasn't been absorbing what he's been reading. He's just kind of staring at this one area of the book and then flipping a page.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Yeah. Zero doesn't say anything about this. At least not right now.
Yeah. Alright. The day continues as with more casual conversation that isn't terribly important. Probably things that are surface level importance, like where are you from? Or what you were doing in town, or how has your day been? Or is that actually a cloud, or is that a duck? But just casual travel conversation from people who don't know each other well and don't really know what to ask.
Would they question Zero on the fact that he only has one horn?
Probably.
Well, can we do that?
Sure. Phil finally putting his book away and seeming to actually really take another look at both Cordelia and Zero. Zero, you notice that he's staring at your non-present horn, and you can't tell if he's staring because he wants to ask, or if he's just staring because this is a thing that's there and he doesn't know what to do or say about it. He's just kind of he's staring, but he doesn't really know if it's appropriate to ask.
I'd say Zero would pick up that he's being stared at and would turn his head to look at Phil with a raised eyebrow.
And Phil kind of freezes and says, sorry, I was just, and he hesitates and says, is it rude for me to ask about, with that he just kind of points at the spot where the horn would be on his own head. And he doesn't finish the sentence, he's just looking for permission to ask.
Zero blinks before reaching up to touch at the stump of his cut horn before lightly chuckling. Oh, this? Oh, yeah. I cut it off.
Why?
It's Zero is surprised at Cordelia's surprise and alarm. It's normal. It's from my horde. From not horde. It's from my herd. My herd. The only one allowed in my herd is the leader. My father. And since I'm not a leader, I don't get the right to have both horns.
Oh, does it hurt to cut a horn off, or?
Well, if I cut it down too deep, it will hurt, but it's just kind of like clipping toenails. Well, nails.
Rhodey, from where he'd been standing near the front, has actually looked back a bit, and it's kind of, he seems almost surprised, but he doesn't really slow his pace to become even and engage more in the conversation. Instead, he stays up near where Grandma is sitting. However, Phil says, really, I didn't know I didn't know there were toons that did that. And he looks thoughtful, then also mumbles, I thought also that the inlining of the horn went higher up than that. Or was that real kind goats? Sheep, goat, sheep. Either? Both. I think it's both. And he's muttering to himself, and you have successfully distracted him from staring at you into going completely inside of his head. He's a wizard. They're
0.
scholars. That's what they do.
Yeah. 0 has a hard time not chuckling again. Before shrugging lightly. That's definitely real goats. My family just always kind of does it.
And
Oh, I'm glad it didn't hurt. Like, it would be bad if it hurt.
Oh, definitely.
Clover is nodding along, says, that's mighty interesting. I didn't know. Well, at the very least, it looks cool. She laughs a bit and says, well, if someone didn't know, you could almost pretend it was a battle scar and spook the heck out of somebody. And she laughs back. She laughs at her little comment.
0 immediately smiles, filing that little idea away. Yeah, I could probably do that.
All right, and now to move things along, just because, like I said, this idea went for multiple days, but I didn't actually have a lot of ideas for what you would do during those days. Is that it sets up to nighttime, or at the very least, to where Grandma pulls off the side of the road and they begin camping for the night. So let's do some kind of camping themed rolls. First off, perception.
Oh, nat.
Oh,
Double 20! Nice! Okay, so both of you managed to find a good spot that is safe to pull over. And you also have managed to find a lot of good wood for a campfire to get started for everyone to both cook and light at the night, as well as make sure that you don't accidentally set anything you don't intend to on fire.
nice. Do we have to roll a survival check to like make the fire?
Yes.
Okay.
Cordelia is very proud of herself.
Well, she should be.
14.
Oh, wow.
21.
Oh yeah, 0 gets a 21. You started up with like 0 issues. You get everything going, everything's burning nice and good. Cordelia, you make a good check in making sure that everything nearby where the fire is not going to combust, while Rhodey goes out and actually collects more things to basically help keep the fire going through the night, since I'm assuming that you're going to do a kind of shift thing between everyone in the group, with everyone taking a shift in order to move on to the next day.
Yeah.
And everyone has their rations, which means everyone has something to eat, and rations can, just because we're cartoons, rations can be whatever you like. It can be any food you like, any food you like. As long as it's not like a full 7-course meal that you yank out of your pocket.
Instead of eating a ration, can I just have him just, eat grass? 0 eat grass. He is a goat.
If you want to do that, go for it. Although, if you do that, I'm gonna make you roll Constitution to make sure you don't eat anything that makes you sick.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fine.
Rather, first do a. You know what? Actually, on second thought, forget the Constitution roll. You've already got a 21. You already you already picked out all the stuff that was edible.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go eat raw grass. So I'm gonna be sitting on the ground eating raw grass, watching the fire crackle.
Rhodey pulls out a rather plain-ish looking sandwich. It looks like it has some vegetables and stuff, but it's very simple, and it's almost looks like something he could have grabbed from the pub on his way out, or it could have been something he was just storing in his hammer space. It's a little hard to tell. But it's nice, something nice and simple that he just kind of eats where he is and keeps an eye out.
I'm gonna have Zero look up at Rhodey, tilting his head slightly. So, we meet again.
Rhodey pauses mid-chew, swallows, and says, yes, we do. I'm surprised I didn't see you the other day, but, well, it's good to see, I suppose.
Yeah. The other day I was a bit busy. I was writing a letter and trying to find a courier to send my family. Just letting them know I'm fine.
Rhodey actually smiles a bit at that and nods and says, well, it's always good to keep contact with people, you know. And
Zero just nodded before just shoving another wad of grass into his mouth.
Rhodey actually upon seeing that, Rhodey kind of somewhat pointedly turns his attention back to his sandwich just because seeing someone eat grass is a little weird, but he also knows that it's also really natural and it really isn't any of his business. So, no, just gonna focus back on the sandwich.
Nice.
He's trying very hard not to be rude just because he feels like the two of you didn't get along previously, or at least didn't get along well. So he doesn't want to accidentally do or say something that, makes Zero decide that he absolutely doesn't like him.
Cordelia's just awkwardly chewing her sandwich, also feeling the tension, not sure what to say.
I don't think there's any tension. I think any tension is just felt purely on Rhodey of, I'm really hoping I don't do anything that makes them mad.
Yeah, I know Zero is completely missing any tension.
Well. Cordelia maybe feels a little awkward because, she's part of her, kind of wants to talk to Rhodey because she's sort of in her head decided this is a friend. But also she's like, I don't know, he's just sort of not really engaging. Is it gonna be rude if I talk to him?
Yeah. This is out of character, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to say hi to Rhodey. It's just that he's a little awkward because he doesn't know what to say to Zero. Because he's still kind of remembering that Zero didn't really seem to like him the last time they met, and he doesn't want to make that worse. And yeah, sometimes you just want to just be an introvert without actually being an introvert during the daytime.
Yeah.
He was hanging out by the cow and by Grandma for most of the day, and Grandma is not a chatterbox, so.
Yeah. Eventually Zero just stops eating grass and just waits until, just stares at the fire waiting for, everyone else to finish eating.
So, Rhodey finishes his sandwich and then says, alright, I suppose the first thing we should figure out is who gets first watch.
I'm probably gonna have to roll something. Yeah, I just had to pull up my character sheet.
Yeah.
Zero tilts his head again. He's a goat, he does that a lot. And he says, well, why don't Phil and I take the first shift?
Phil kind of stiffens up a bit, then forces himself to relax and says, "Well, yeah, that would probably work, but maybe, uh, we should, yeah, I think we should at least let Clover and, Grandma sleep."
Yeah. Around midnight, we could wake Rhodey and Cordelia up.
Brody is nodding slowly and says, "Okay. And finally, Grandma butts in again and says, "Well, that does make sense." And she's kind of squinty, but you're starting to get the idea that this kind of rough and tumble thing is just normal for her. She says, "So your suggestion that we let you and the bookworm," and she jabs a thumb at Phil, who does not seem at all offended by the title of bookworm, "get first watch. The little lady," and she nods towards Cordelia, "and the beanstalk take second, and then Clover and I take third."
Zero's ears flicked. Ears flicked. Yes, ma'am.
She eyes him for a moment and says, She eyes you for a moment, then, surprisingly, she nods and says, "Well, it's always good to have someone with a good head on their shoulders, and it makes sense to me." And Clover actually brightens, saying, "Yeah, we can do that." And insight roll, if you don't mind.
Okay. Insight.
For both of us, or just 0?
Both if you want.
15.
Okay. 0, you get the impression that Clover's actually pleased that her grandma seems to like you. You get the impression from her grandma that she is not a big fan of people, so the fact that she has anything positive to say is already a badge of honor. Cordelia, you get the impression that despite being difficult, Grandma is actually rather relieved that she's getting the last shift, since she spent all day driving the cart.
Zero was initially ready to just insist that the last two would just spend the entire night sleeping, but he figured that Miss Thistle wouldn't like that.
Yeah, Miss Thistle's a tough and tumble old lady, and I based her off a comic book character, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job of bringing that comic character through, but at the same time, I'm slowly growing to love Miss Thistle. I may soften her as we go along, just because I think I'm playing her too harsh.
Well, I like her how she is.
Well, like I said, she's inspired by a comic character, and I would really love to drop the reference in here just because I like it, but I think I just...
Okay, yeah,
I'm playing her a little too harsh and distant because it feels like I'm not actually getting the chance to play her so much as throw in these occasional curveballs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's good so far. It seems like she's good. It feels kind of like she's got to be tough because the world is scary and she's got to protect her granddaughter and her granddaughter's weird friends.
I'm glad I'm giving that so far. Oh, I'm just realizing I could have had the perfect opportunity to talk about something for Phil and forgot about it. Oh well, I'll punch it in on one of the later days. Anyways, okay, you both get... Grandma nods at that, and everyone starts to put things out except for the fire. And with that, my brain is running a total blank. Thistle herds herself, Cordelia, and herds everyone but Phil and Zero onto the cart to sleep there instead of on the ground. On the ground. Phil just kind of stays where he is with both of his books and just waits as all this unfolds. Rhodey wishes you a good night and sets himself basically on the edge of the cart nearby, probably so that if something does happen, you can yell and he can basically back you up the moment something goes wrong.
I want to check the sky to see how cloudy it is.
Check the sky?
Yeah, check the sky to see how cloudy it is. Can we see like the
Yeah.
Can we see like the
Actually,
moon?
yeah. Let me think of what I'm gonna make you roll for that. How about we roll a nature check?
Sure. Okay.
Because that also will
Check.
let you know if there's anything weird about the trees nearby. Oh, 12.
Yeah. Yep. 12.
As far as you can tell, there's nothing strange about the trees. There's no weird shadows, and the sky is actually very, very clear. You can almost see the stars, despite how dense the forestry above you is, and you can see the moon. It's a very clear night, surprisingly.
I just wanted to say that Cordelia is making an effort to sleep near Rhodey because friend.
Friend. I really like Cordelia.
She's probably sleeping on one of the benches in the cart.
Probably.
Alright. Now, 0. Now that everyone is asleep, I'm going to make you roll perception.
I fully insisted on him and Phil, so 0 can
interrogate him.
Yeah, interrogate him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically
10.
Okay, nothing jumps out at you as weird. Just the only thing that even minorly jumps out to you as weird is the fact that Phil has yet to look up from his book, despite everyone moving around him. His sandwich has been eaten, but he's left the empty plate beside him. And other than that, he just seems to have just checked out. He's checked out, but sitting up.
Yeah. I'm gonna take out my playing card set and smile a wide thing to grin at Phil. Hey, you want to play some cards as we pass the time?
Phil looks up from his book, kind of freezes, then rather sheepishly says, probably not being, he kind of shrinks where he is and says, I'm terrible at cards. I can't play worth a darn. My cousins are always telling me I should never do it. And he's kind of laughing somewhat nervously, but you can also tell, or roll an insight. Roll an insight.
Check insight. 12.
You can tell he's not lying. He's not lying. He's actually he's not lying. He might be a little bit embarrassed, but he's not lying.
I'm gonna roll persuasion. Let's see how well I do. 24. Okay. 0 flicked his ears. Come on. You can't fail at. You can't be bad at goldfish.
And I'm also assuming there's like a few other not very offensive ribs, but finally Phil closes his book and rather sheepishly says, I guess 1 or 2 games couldn't hurt. I mean, we're not betting. We're not betting or anything. And you can't tell if he's talking to you or talking to himself, but he finally moves closer and starts playing with you.
Alright, should we... I'm gonna actually use this to I'm just gonna have 0 play with him for a bit, like normally for the maybe for the first couple of passes.
How about we each roll a 20 to see how well we're doing?
Alright. Let me scroll up to that. Okay.
Oh, oh, you're both doing poorly. We're both doing bad. We're not doing great, but then again, we're not playing serious. We're both just kind of. We're having repeated rounds where there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Well, this is. Well, we're having wonderful luck, aren't we?
And Phil kind of chuckles a bit and says, "Well, this looks about normal for me."
This is. I'm presuming you were the one that set the light, left the lamp then.
And abruptly, he freezes. And he gives you a very deer in headlights look. However, the deer in headlights look doesn't actually look like, wait, how did you figure it out? And more like, wait, what?
Zero looked up
Phil.
from his cards to look at Phil. Yeah, I was trying to say like he's not looking at his cards. Zero put the cards down slightly. The lamp in the barn that burnt in your barn.
And rather suddenly, Phil looks like he's realized something. He's like, oh, yeah. He tries to look sheepish, but there's something a little off with it. And he says, yeah, that was me. I was dumb. And he kind of shrinks where he is, and he's not looking at you, and he looks almost uncomfortable.
Can I roll insight to see if he's telling the truth?
Yeah.
10.
You can tell that there's something off with this. He's saying that it was his fault, but at the same time, he's looking like he's giving the impression that he's lying, but at the same time, he's also at the same time confessing to being the one responsible for them having to move, and that seems really weird.
Zero drummed his fingers on his lap before sighing. All right, let's just cut the crap. What actually happened? I know you're hiding something, and frankly, I've gotten very, very interested and curious on what actually happened.
Phil freezes, and finally, his shoulders slump, and he says, "Well, it was a lamp that set the fire. It's just that it was the lamp that set the fire. It's just that none of us left it on." And he squirms where he's sitting a little bit before finally he sets the cards down and looks at you and says, "Can you promise you won't tell Grandma I told you this?" And he looks actually nervous. Like, even more nervous than prior.
Okay, I'm gonna roll a sleight of hand to, like, cross my fingers behind my back. 17.
Yep, you do it without him noticing.
Zero smiled at Phil. I promise.
And he squints at you for a moment, then he says,
Should I roll performance on that?
"No, you're good. I'll let you have it with the 17. Okay. And finally he says, "The whole lamp thing was actually what Grandma told us to tell everybody. We were attacked by monsters on the farm. And the lamp was something we had lit. Grandma had told us to light all the lights in order to basically tell the monsters out there that they couldn't surprise us." And he fusses with his hands a bit and says, "You know, I always thought that when you thought that there was something bad in the house, you were supposed to turn off the lights to pretend that there was no one home. Grandma says you're actually supposed to do the opposite, because if they won't think that no one's home, they'll just think you're asleep and that they can get you without you being able to protect yourself." So she told us to turn on all the lights when we realized that there were a bunch of monsters outside to basically say that they wouldn't get the jump on us. We'd fight back if they tried to come in. And, well, it didn't do as good a job of warding them off as we thought it would. And he kind of shrinks where he was sitting.
Zero looked concerned, worried. What kind of monsters?
And Phil sways a little where he's sitting and says, rat apes.
Rat apes. Zero said almost incredulously.
And for once, Phil doesn't look nervous. He looks honestly kind of angry and offended that you don't believe him. He says, yes, rat apes. And then he freezes, realizing he'd raised his voice a bit, and looks over towards the cart. Then lowers his voice again and says, they're actually one of the more common monsters around here. They're big. They're big and dangerous, and they eat meat, and they're smart enough to talk, and also just they're big and they're mean, and they don't come in tiny numbers, and there was like 30 of them, and Grandma he looks wowed for a moment and said, Grandma thought the most of them single-handed, and I didn't know she was that strong, but apparently she is. And yeah, they bunch of the candles and lanterns got knocked over and set everything on fire. And that actually ended up scaring most of them off, and now we're moving.
Zero's ears immediately flattened. Are they smart enough? Did you manage to kill any of them?
And Phil kind of paused for a moment and said, I think Grandma killed a few. I don't know. Clover and I went into the woods to head towards there's a spot where there's a spot called Dragon's Nest, and we don't know why, but if you go there, despite there not being any dragons, the rats won't go anywhere near there. So we went there for safety till Grandma came and got us, so she might have killed a bunch of them. I don't know. I wasn't there. I just know that when we came back, there was a lot of red on the ground and everything was on fire.
Zero looked concerned, a little worried.
He said,
then are they? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Then actually, Phil kind of slumps a bit and looks at you, and finally he's looking directly at you, and he says, I don't want to tell Grandma, but that's the other reason I didn't want us traveling alone. I mean, there are a lot of them, and I know that they're in the area, and I genuinely don't know if they're organized or not, but I'd rather, after seeing that many at the barn, I didn't want to run into even 2 of them on our own without, like, a building between them and us.
Zero just kind of looked even more worried, concerned, and slightly panicked. They're smart enough to talk, right?
And Phil nods, says, yeah, they're smart enough to talk. I've actually talked to 2 of them that I'm not terribly afraid of. They're smart enough to talk, but at the same time, they're so stupid. They do so many stupid things that it's a wonder that they're still alive. And he gets this faraway look like he's remembering some kind of incident, and his face no longer looks fearful. Instead, it swapped for a more exasperated look. Anyways, I know I'm not afraid of those 2. They're just too stupid to be afraid of. But the others, I have no idea about them, and I don't want to find out. Thanks.
Zero leaned forward, picking up the cards. Are they smart enough to try to seek revenge, to follow you for killing, for you guys killing some of them?
And Phil kind of pauses and says, No, I don't think so. I don't think revenge is even a thing they contemplate. They live. Weirdly enough, I have gotten a conversation with those two really stupid ones I talked about if they wanted revenge, and they said that revenge wasn't even a thing for them. You either get your food or you don't. You either. Yeah. Revenge isn't really something they think about.
Zero relaxed at that, relieved. Oh, all right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's just get back. We'll probably have to wake Cordelia and Rhodey up soon.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Revenge isn't a thing, but they don't really care about much other than whether they're gonna get their next meal, and I sincerely hope that it's not me.
Well, everyone kind of hopes that.
Hey, Queen, you still there?
I am still here.
Yeah. So, I think at this point, Zero and Phil have finished their card game and their backstory exposure, and it's nap time for them. So now it's Rhodey and Cordelia's turn to take the night watch for a while.
Wait, I want to let Cordelia know, just to keep an eye out for apes.
Sure.
I feel like she definitely gives Zero kind of a weird look when he tells her this. Like, hey? Okay.
Yeah. It's. I know it sounds weird. Just if you see anything that looks like some sort of ape, just wake us all up, okay?
She's like just waking up, and this is like, I don't know how to feel about it.
Rhodey is groggy and has. I'm about to do it funny. Rhodey has. In the process of waking him up, Phil has somehow managed to do it in a way that made Rhodey roll over, and instead of just rolling over, he accidentally rolled off the cart and hit the ground with a thump.
Nice.
And he just goes, ow.
Bad things always happen to you.
He just sats up and says, ow. And just to clarify, it's not bad things. It's just that he's the one who gets struck the most often by rule of funny.
Yeah.
Cordelia is also being dramatic.
And he just kind of lays there for a moment and goes, I'm fine. But he says it in that usual very groggy tone of voice of someone who is still in the process of waking up, and despite being but is surprisingly articulate and is moving very well, but you can very much tell that he's still half asleep and has yet to process anything that's going on. He's just moving on autopilot.
Nice.
Poor Rhodey.
Yeah. Anyways, Rhodey takes over Zero's previous spot. Phil ends up curling up near the front of the cart and has bundled himself in some blankets that serve as a sleeping bag. And I'm assuming that Zero makes himself comfortable.
Yeah, Zero makes himself comfortable as close to Cordelia and Rhodey as possible on the cart. But before just, going to sleep.
Yeah. And Queen, I'm assuming, settles down by the fireplace. And Rhodey, again, moving on autopilot, but somehow still being somewhat aware, has started throwing some extra wood on the fire to make sure that it hasn't gotten too low while no one was paying attention.
Cordelia is kind of anxiously scanning the tree line for signs of apes.
All right, roll perception. 2. You are anxious, but you see nothing.
Ooh.
You are anxious, but you see nothing. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. Everything is just creepy dark forest. Which is somehow both worrying and reassuring at the same time. Now,
I think she kind of keeps looking around, but also is glancing at Rhodey.
Rhodey is now finally starting to wake up and has actually gone a bit farther and has started making some tea. He figures he's basically figuring that if he's going to be up, he's going to need at least some caffeine to help wake him up completely.
Fair.
And with that, was there anything you wanted to talk about with Rhodey, or what?
Oh, Cordelia definitely wanted to, like, say stuff to him.
Oh,
as
yeah.
he's making tea, she's like, it's really cool being able to work with you again.
Rhodey, who's finally starting to wake up after getting some movement, actually looks over at her and smiles slightly and says, yes, hopefully things will go more smoothly than they did last time.
Yeah. Hadn't really anticipated people talking about the dead bandits.
He kind of he responds with a simple, well, it's not too surprising. Small towns don't have a lot of news, and well, I think what happened is probably the biggest news they've had in a while.
Yeah, that's true. Are you going to another town and you're like, search for memories? It's very clear she wants to get off the subject of the bandits, even though she was the one who brought it up.
Yeah. He says, yes, just moving on to the next location. I'm also trying to see if I can get some news of a good way to travel a UPA. Well, not a lot of stuff goes on here, so it's best to move on to a larger city.
Fair.
And I honestly don't have any ideas of things I want to talk about with Cordelia, because I think we covered them all in the Hangout hijinks.
Yeah, true. Cordelia is, she kind of shifts a little where she's sitting and is like, I hope that I can see you again at some point after this. Like, you seem really nice, and I know it's probably kind of weird to just, like, immediately be like, oh, this person is my friend, even though you've only really known them for, like, a couple of days, but you seem nice, and I want to be your friend. And also, I'm kind of curious why you lost your memory.
Brody actually smiles at that and says, well, thank you. And yes, you're not the only one who's curious. And he says it like it's a joke and laughs a bit and says, well, I certainly hope we do get to meet more. It's nice to have a friendly face to meet. And he actually reaches in to one of his pockets and pulls out another ration, except this time it looks like he's got what looks almost like beef jerky, but it's colored a little differently. But other than that, it looks like he's just pulled out a snack or something to chew on to help keep awake. Since we've covered most of the stuff that they would have wanted to talk about in Hangout Hijinks, do you want to just skip forward?
Sure.
Okay, so Rhodey and Cordelia finished their shift with no alarming revelations, no weird news, no chaos. And then they wake Clover and Thistle, who take over for the last shift, and both climb onto the cart and go to sleep. Alright, Toby, you're back.
Yes, I've been here the entire time. I just didn't want to accidentally interrupt you guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyways, everyone sleeps very well, and the next time that you all wake, the sun has started to rise and the cart is moving. And as everyone sits up and starts to look around and basically get their bearings on, you can see Clover sitting near the front of the cart, along with Phil, while Grandma has is steering the cart, and it is actually a fairly nice day from what you can tell. But everything is in motion, and it's quite comfortable.
I would like to have Zero start to walk alongside of the cart again.
Alright. Just for the fun of it, let's do an acrobatics check to see how well he dismounts from the moving cart.
Let me open that up because I cannot spell. Heck. 9. That's a great.
Oh, hey! Rhodey managed to land the dismount this time.
Woo!
Yeah. Rhodey jumps out and he makes it alright. Zero, when you jump out, you kind of stumble a bit and you almost knock into the cart. But you manage to catch yourself. You just have a rather difficult dismount. But other than that, you're fine.
You okay?
I'm fine. Just still a bit groggy.
Yeah. When Rhodey jumps out, he also makes the landing. He stumbles a little bit, but quickly gets his footing and manages to kind of jog around the backside of the cart and jog his way back up to being so that he's beside Grandma again. But he also kind of idly strikes a conversation with Phil. Clover, who has now noticed that everyone is awake, has said, "Oh, good. You were all sleeping so well, we didn't want to wake you. So you can see we got moving again. Everything got going all right, but, well, I figured you might want the extra shut-eye." And she smiles rather brightly at you.
Zero just nods. Happy to just kind of stay quiet.
Cordelia smiles back at her and kind of sleepily says, "Oh, that was nice of you. Thank you."
And she grins and says, "Well, everyone needs a good night's sleep."
As Zero follows along, he looks up at her. Did anything happen last night?
And she says, No, nothing happened. Everything was actually really quiet. I mean, other than a couple night critters. Actually, it was almost surprisingly quiet. I mean, not in a bad way, but yeah. It was a pretty peaceful night despite everything.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either. I mean, there were a couple times when I thought I saw something, but it wasn't anything. It was well, first it was a branch, and then it was just a raccoon or something, but I didn't see any apes or anything.
Zero just nodded, trying to hide the alarm that kind of flooded through him at Cordelia just flatly saying that.
She doesn't know it's something she's not supposed to say.
Rhodey.
Yeah, and
Rhodey looks over rather confused, says, "Apes." I've heard about there being some kind of ape monsters up further north, but I suppose it wouldn't be too weird if they went further south.
Yeah. Zero quickly nodded, just going with what Rhodey said.
Cordelia's a little confused and is maybe starting to catch on that she might not have wanted to say that.
Roll an insight. Roll an insight just to see whether or not this is something you should have kept a secret, or if this is maybe something you could ask about. Oh, 4.
4.
4. You're oblivious to it being a
not
secret,
sure what's
but you may
going on.
possibly ask about it. Do you want to ask about it?
She does kind of look over at Zero and was like, "Hey, so why did you want me to look out for apes?"
All right, I'm gonna roll deception.
Yeah, that was
let's
the
see
perfect
how well
time.
I lie. 21, nice. Dirty 20. Zero tilted his head, saying, "Well, I took a peek at Phil's books last night, and I kind of saw that, and well, my mind just got running, and I was a bit concerned in case we would see any."
Rhodey surprisingly chips in and says, well, it wouldn't be too absurd if there were apes in the area. Specifically, I can't remember what they're called all of a sudden. But there's some kind of rodent ape that lives further to the north. I've heard there have been sightings further south, but for the most part, they're not unheard of in the area. They're a somewhat dangerous monster. They can be dangerous if they're in large groups, but I don't they're quite... And he pauses and says, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this, and I don't have one, so I guess I'll go blunt. I've heard they're really, really stupid.
Well, Zero nodded. That's what the book said.
Phil is asleep, thankfully, so you don't have to worry about him saying or doing anything that would accidentally destroy your lie.
Thank God.
Cordelia looks a bit alarmed at the knowledge that there are ape monsters. Just like, are they like ape sized or like rodent sized?
I
Rhodey
think
taps
they're
his
ape size.
Rhodey taps his chin and says, yes, I think they're ape-sized. I've heard they can get bigger if you get to, like, the chieftains. But for the most part... And he waves it off and says, oh, smile. He waves it off smiling and says, oh, don't worry about it. The chances of us running into them are astronomical at best.
Take your word for it, I'm worried anyway.
Zero nodded, agreeing with Cordelia. Besides, it's always better to be safe when outside.
Rhodey nods and says, yes, that's a fair point. Fair point. Grandma, however, has somewhat taken note of the conversation, pulling her eyes away from the road in order to listen, because, as I've already mentioned, she's sitting up at the front of the cart, and you're all quite close to where she is. But, surprisingly, she doesn't seem angry or upset. She just kind of says, well, if we do run into any, they won't be causing trouble for us for long. And she says this in this slightly menacing tone that implies that she is absolutely down to beat the stuffing out of any of them that try to show up.
Yay! Zero kind of perked up, taking Miss Thistle as like the kind of herd leader.
Yeah, she's a tough old bird.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, this day, like the previous, is fairly quiet. And yeah, things are fairly quiet. Everything is mostly the same as yesterday. If there's any kind of specific conversation points you want to get with each other, you're welcome to them. But I didn't really have much planned for right now, just that everyone's kind of moving along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything goes alright, and you were mostly able to set up the same scenario you did the previous night. However, there is something I'm going to roll. Really quick.
Oh dear.
When the DM rolls, it's usually never a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. The fuck did I put that? Oh, shit. I didn't mean to say that.
I'm presuming, like, we're not supposed to be swearing.
Well, I try not to, but there's, like, no rule against it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I have a bit of a mouth, so.
Yes, there it is. And what the heck did it say? What the heck did I put it in? Where is my thingy? There it is. I know if I hunted around long enough, I'd find the darn thing.
We're back in the classroom when the teacher's doing something.
Okay. Now, what the heck did I roll it? Oh. Yeah. I think that's the thing I'm looking for. I'm trying to look up for a thing, and I've completely forgotten some of the details that I specifically asked shit about. Fuck, what was... my brain has gone to a total blank. Where the fuck did I put it? Okay. I don't know where the answer to that is, so I'm gonna have to ask. Toby, what is Zero's passive perception?
Oh, my passive perception is 10.
Okay.
So it's, like, it's not plus anything.
Okay. A 10, a 10, and a 12. Okay. Yeah, this is how I'll do this. As everyone is bedding down for the night, Rhodey squints at the woods, almost like he thought he saw something. But other than that, everything's fine.
I'm gonna roll perception to see if
Nope.
0.
So you
No?
notice him squinting, but so 0.
Okay. That's what I was gonna roll for, to see if he noticed him squinting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Check perception.
You did not
5.
notice it.
I am blind.
You
Did
saw
I also
nothing.
roll perception to see if I noticed?
Okay.
12.
Okay, so you noticed that Rhodey was squinting, but you figured he'd just seen something in the underbrush like you had the other night. Zero, you weren't paying even a little bit of attention. You were probably with your nose stuck in something, making sure that the fire was going to start without setting everything else ablaze.
I'm gonna go. My eyesight is not that well suited.
Yes, especially at night. But yeah,
Yes.
that's everything it is. Everyone is, everything's fine. Everything's doing alright. You all just kind of hang out for the night like you did the previous night, and nothing is wrong.
Yay. Now what?
Okay, is there any dinner chatter you guys want to do?
No, not really. I'm just good with kind of just sitting there, munching away, eating grass again.
Queen?
Cordelia might ask, like, you know, what the town they're going to is like. Like, you know, oh, what's this town like? Are there, like, lots of people there? Or is it kind of small? Because you said it doesn't do a lot of trading.
Clover says, well, it's not so much that they don't do a lot of trading, so much as the two towns don't do a lot of trading with each other. This is the most direct route between the two, but unfortunately, it's also the longest. So, a lot of folks just don't bother with it. The town over is a bit bigger, last I knew. They did a lot more farm and trade and, you know, growing stuff, like harvests and such. So, they only do major trade, like, about once a year during harvest time, during the fall, but other than that, everything's usually pretty quiet. But, it's bigger, and they do have a lot of people coming through. It's bigger than the town we came from, but there's not a lot going on between the two of them, but it's kind of busy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our friend Lucas, he owns a tavern over there, and, well, he's got room, so we were gonna head over. He was actually visiting not too long ago during the cow races, and, well, two of Phil's cousins are with him right now, so we were figuring on meeting all back up before hunting for a new place for a farm.
It's smart to meet up and get more people to help.
Yeah. I mean, I think if the last I remember, we've been thinking about doing a rehaul on the barn anyway, so stuff was already falling apart there just because it had been just me and Grandma for so long that we couldn't take care of everything all by ourselves. And then Phil and his cousin came by and they helped a bit, and we were gonna do a great big job up there, but, well, things got weird, and, yeah, nothing bad, but it got weird.
Zero just nodded, already, you know, knowing the story, some of the story from Phil.
Yes, from his late night interrogation.
Yay. Yeah.
Cordelia kind of nods and is like, well, it looks like she kind of wants to ask, like, what happened to, like, Clover's parents, but she's also like, that might be a rude thing to ask. So she's just kind of, like, nodding.
Yeah. Phil surprisingly kind of chirps in and says, well, it was... I'm trying to think of a name because I'm just realizing I didn't give this character a name. Shit. Okay, let's go with Percy. Phil kind of humps a bit and says, it's Percy's own fault for getting dragged off by Lucas. And you get the feeling this is somewhat related but different. And he says, I'm always telling him not to do those stupid things, but no, I'm just the worrywart. And with that, he takes a kind of grumpy bite of his sandwich, and that's the most he says. you get the feeling that he was more talking to himself than actually talking to the group.
Yeah. So, yeah, Zero just continues to munch until he's full, and then he just stops munching.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Queen, any questions you want to ask about overhearing Phil's weird statement?
I think she does kind of look over at Phil and be like, "Who's Percy?"
And Phil kind of pauses and says, "Oh, he's one of my cousins. Yeah. Phil and or Percy, Sonny, and I actually come from a town that's a lot from one of the bigger cities, but my cousin Percy did a dumb thing, and we had to and we left, and then we met Clover and Thistle and stayed with them for a while, and then Percy did another dumb thing and got Lucas mad at them, so he went to help Lucas to make up for it, and that's why they're there, and he's just... And Phil looks very frustrated and says, they're family, but they're also very, very, very frustrating.
Zero nodded, knowing the frustrating aspects of family very well. Before he wanted to ask some questions about what they did, what was so stupid about it, and what they did, but he stayed quiet.
All right.
Cordelia does kind of giggle a bit and nods in understanding.
Yeah. Just because I want to unveil this, I'm going to have Rhodey be the one to say, what exactly did your cousin do? And Phil just kind of pauses, and he looks more like he's holding himself back rather than trying to not say anything. And finally he says, my cousin Percy's... He's one of those guys who likes get rich quick schemes. And he says this in this very careful, like, I'm trying very hard not to dissolve into Grolix, but you can tell I'm very upset sort of tone.
Ooh.
And then he says, some of them are clever. Some of them are really dumb. Some of them get him into a lot of trouble. And more often than not, I'm the one who has to bail him out of trouble. And I'm more than a little tired of that. He's family and I love him, but there are days where I dream about throttling him.
Zero raised an eyebrow. What did you do? Like, start a pyramid scheme?
And Phil pauses and says, not that I'm aware of, but I think he's... Well, back in our hometown, he tried to run for mayor, and a lot of the ideas he had were really dumb. I don't think I really want to go into detail why they're dumb. They were bad ideas that no one in their right mind would want to happen. As for what got him trouble with Lucas, he freezes, then looks over at Grandma before finally going, he tried to do something dumb with the cow race and lost.
Oh.
Oh.
Like, Ooh. Did he try to scam people?
And again, Phil looks exasperated and says, on a good day, yes, that is the most common plan.
Zero grimaced slightly. He cheated, didn't he?
And Phil nods and says, he tried, unfortunately, and then he starts to grin a bit. He didn't count on Grandma.
Zero smiled at that.
And okay, I think that's enough for tonight. But I'm gonna say that after that, there's a lull in conversation with everyone kind of absorbing this new knowledge. And then we set up shifts like the previous night, and nothing goes wrong. And again, you wake the next day with the cart moving again.
Zero immediately grumbled, not really liking that. He would like to be awake when people start moving around.
Well,
Cordelia is perfectly content.
Grandma wants to get moving. She's not gonna wait to wake everybody up. She wants to go.
Yeah. But Zero does not like that. I'm just gonna say Zero hops off the cart again to start walking.
Alright. Now, I want everybody to make a perception check. Just to,
Oh
you know.
boy.
Well, it's also the next day and you're all moving again, so you're technically in a new area. Oh! Oh, shit.
That was an acrobatics. The 20.
Oh. Zero
dirty 20.
notices nothing.
Yeah.
However, Cordelia, you notice a rustling in the bushes that doesn't sound right. You're not entirely sure what it is. It might just be a hog or something that's happening to be moving closer to the caravan than most hogs would, but it's just kind of weird that you're hearing more rustling and stuff moving around than you think you should.
She sits up a little in alarm and like looks. She's still in the cart and she looks around a little and is just like, "Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty sure I heard some rustling. Like I don't want to like alarm anyone, but I'm pretty sure I heard some rustling."
Okay, because Cordelia, you have drawn everyone's attention. Everybody gets another perception roll. Yeah, I'm just realizing.
19! I am no longer blind. I don't need glasses anymore.
Should I roll perception again?
No, you're good. You've noticed something.
Okay.
Rhodey has not noticed anything. He's noticed noise, but he can't tell if it's anything to be worried about or if he's just hearing animal noises. Now, for everyone else on the cart, 20. Yeah, they don't notice nothing. Zero, you notice what Cordelia has, that there is some weird rustling. And unlike Cordelia, you've noticed, now that you're both definitely paying more attention, you see something in the brush. And it's big.
I'm gonna immediately pull out my crossbow and point it towards the big thing. Guys, over there.
Okay. Since I'm not going to make Rhodey and the people in the cart roll again, I'm going to say that now that you've pointed out that there's something big in the brush, everybody sees it. And you see it's this how many? What did I put down for that? You see that there are. Yeah. There are two great big brown things in the brush. They're big and they're furry, and they have these strangely beady red eyes and pointed, almost horn-like things pointing out of their heads, and they're staring at you. And for the most part, they are hidden by the brush, but you see them, and they're there, and they're big. So,
Yay!
Let's all roll initiative. Let's see if I can remember how
Oh.
the fuck to add monsters.
Cordelia is
Oh, I'm-
definitely freaking out.
I don't remember how to start roll initiative.
Good, because neither can I. Let's scroll far back and see if we can find the answer.
Yay! Scrolling.
Scrolling.
I'm gonna check my personal. Maybe it's in there.
Should be noted, my cat is trying to sit on me, so my responses might be a little muffled.
Yeah, there we go. Begin.
No!
Wait,
She no longer wants to sit on me.
what?
She's
Did I not
grateful.
end combat the last time?
Did you not? You
I'm the dumbass. That's what that
I'm
means.
sorry. That is amazing.
That's hilarious. We've been in combat for several days and none of us realized it. Okay. Remind me after this is over to end combat.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay. Now.
Okay, and it join. Oh, I'm 13. I don't know how good that is. Oh, Rhodey.
What the fuck, Rhodey? How the fuck do you do that? Yeah, I'm just now realizing that now that I've given myself permission to swear, I'm not stopping. Whoops. Okay, let's see if I can remember how the hell to add my monsters. Oh, somehow I've got caps lock on. Hang on. Okay. Oops, if I would spell ape right. Okay. This is just gonna be 3 of us against, the rats, just because I couldn't figure out how to add non-player characters without, like, making them a monster, and I couldn't figure out how to do that with all the stuff I wanted to do for them, so it's just gonna be, I will add one, but just because it's the only one I know how to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is basically gonna be Grandma. Yeah, the other 2 have been left at the cart. Did I spell that right? Yes! Okay, so. Now. How the heckity heck do I start a turn? I think it's. In it. Next?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so. Rhodey, I'm going to have. Rhodey is going to pull out his sword, but I'm going to make him hold his action, which basically means that he's not going to move because he's too far away and he's got a weapon that you can't throw.
Yeah.
Or, wait. Maybe I can actually do something with that. Hang up. Let me think about that. Hand axe. Oh, shoot. I have a hand axe. I'm gonna throw my hand axe. Right. Okay. Huh. My brain has completely forgotten how to do these things. It's been so
How dare
long since
you.
we fought.
Oh god.
Da-da-da. Ah, okay. There we go. Hey. Did I spell that right? I think I spelled that right. There's a lot of dead air I'm noticing as we try and remember what the heck we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, R-A...
We're doing our best.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm
we're
just as
having
much of a
fun.
problem as the rest of us. What the fuck?
Holy shit!
You killed him!
Rhodey, upon realizing that, oh shit, this is a serious threat, has whipped out his hand axe, and without thinking, he winds up the absolute most perfect hit you can with a thrown hand axe, and manages to nail one of the rats between the eyes. It's very dead. Like, he had an 18 to hit, and then he did 18 damage. I didn't even know you could do damage that high with a level 1 character, but apparently you can. Okay.
Oh god, it's just like the bandits!
Apparently the oh shit response from him is apparently the most effective way to get him to insta-console. Okay, the first rat was the one supposed to go next, and it's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, Cordelia.
Okay.
How do I do that? Rhodey, how? How? How are you so deadly?
He's just deadly, that's it. It's in his blood.
Apparently. Okay, rat number 2 is bloodied. You have done some serious damage because you rolled 15 to hit, and then you got a 5 for damage. And since you're proficient, that's one of the things that made your damage so much, despite only rolling a 3. So,
Cordelia kind of freaks out and just ducks her hammer in it, like,
yeah, rat had moved closer. Rat now regrets moving closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's bloodied. Okay, now, what the fuck did I put for attacks for these guys? What the fuck did I do with these rats? Okay, there we go. What? There we go. Since Rat is near Cordelia, or at least, you know what, actually, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm stumbling over my words. For just a minute.
I'm just assuming that means the rat is going to attack me.
I'm just now realizing that I don't remember how to specify that a monster attacks. Shit! How do I do that? Bot log. I think I have the answer to that in bot log. No, I don't. How the fuck did I do that? I know I've told monsters to attack. I have to go much further back, apparently. I have to go previous sessions back.
I do
Oh,
remember
God.
you doing it when we were
Yes,
when we were
I know.
practicing.
We've done it. I just don't remember how.
Search in it from Rose Blood Cat.
Eh. I think this is correct. I don't know. I'm just hoping that I get this right. Yep, I'm gonna need to use the help in it for this. How the fuck do I do this?
Searched up IA and it's giving me all of the posts you said I in.
Okay.
It is kind of funny that the last time we tried this, or the last time we were in combat, we just completely obliterated the bandits.
Yeah.
And then it happens
promptly
on
we're
first
like,
shot.
nope.
I still remember the time that we tried to do a deer and it was kicking both of our butts. That was the funniest crap. That was absolutely hilarious.
Not this time.
It's just like, oh God, what the hell?
Test zone. Was it in the test zone? Okay. I think I have it. I could be wrong. But, yeah, I think I have it.
Cool.
There we go.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ah,
The
it
great big
misses.
rat tries to bite Cordelia, revealing the very large maw absolutely littered with sharp fangs, and it scares you so bad that you jump back and it misses when it chomps down. It's almost comical if it wasn't for the near-death experience. Yeah, let's just say big teeth. A lot of teeth. Okay. And I did not give these things a double attack because I thought that would be way too dangerous for something that's supposed to be this dumb. So we now move to the next.
Yay,
0.
my turn. I'm gonna line up my crossbow, and apparently I never healed. I'm gonna line up my crossbow and try to shoot the guy.
Rat ape. Rat ape.
Yeah, the rat ape. The rat ape. Yes, the rat ape. Oh. What happened to my crossbow? Oh well, I'll just use my regular bow then.
Oh, it did.
It did. It did.
Oh.
I wonder what the hell happened to my crossbow.
Okay. Veteran is healthy. I should hope so. Wow, Grandma didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we can end.
Yeah.
Hooray! You
The
have
rats
defeated
are
the
dead.
2 rats. They are now very, very dead. Oops. Okay. Yeah. 2 very dead rats. And, take a moment to go to your pages because, you get experience from these guys. And they're 50 XP, but, divided by 3. You know what? I'm gonna say we get about, I don't know how to divide 50 by 3. Let's go with fork it, 25 each.
Ooh. Okay.
I know that's wrong considering I'm adding XP too, but whatever. I'm the person. I'm the DM. I can do what I want.
Yeah. And manage experience. Add XP. 25. There we go. How do I do long rest?
Okay.
Because
First, let's
I
move things on a little bit. I will explain that to you in a moment. Yeah.
I'm just gonna do slash help.
Yeah. Grandma looks around and says, "Well, looks like you better fighters than I thought you were." Then she squints into the forest and says, "We better pick up the pace. Most rats don't travel in twosomes. Better get a move on just to make sure they don't catch up. Or rather, best move on to make sure that there aren't any more hiding in the area." And with that, she gestures to the cart and says, "Ollie, get in." Then she points at both of you and says, "I suggest you take a nap. Better make sure that if any more show up, we're all ready and raring." And just I think it was. No, that's not how you do it.
Okay. Game. There we go.
Okay, we can pretend that we already did the rest before engaging in combat. Anyways, everyone gets up on the cart, and Thistle cracks the reins on the cow, who picks up pace. And where previously it had been going in the usual kind of slow trundle that most cows do, this one picks up pace, and it picks up pace fast. And I'm looking at the time and realizing that this took longer than I anticipated. This is coming on 2 hours now. So do you want to kind of end things off here and do a part 2?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I need to take a break and actually eat my dinner, so.
I also need to get dinner.
Yeah, so we'll close off here, and this will be the end of part 1 of Rat Problems. And in another 2 weeks, we'll try for a part 2.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
I feel like it should be noted before we go that Cordelia is fully freaking out because she was kind of hoping that they wouldn't have to kill stuff again.
Yeah. Also, once I close out, I want to throw out a fun nugget. So, this is the end of it. Everybody say goodbye, and then I'm gonna stop the recording and tell you a fun nugget.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
yeah. Night, bye.